Hey there folks, it's James from Support here, hope you're all well. In today's video I'm going to be telling you about a new feature that we've just finished adding to OnCourse to the outcomes. It's called outcome progression, and really the whole idea is to help make it easier for people to, particularly vet managers and those of you who deal with the vet side of things, to track a student's progression per outcome. So let's take a quick look at it. You can see here they're two pretty easy to read graphs. One of them represents the attendance and one of them represents the assessment progression. And the way that this all works, it all ties into your class training plan and the assessment tasks that you've got set up in OnCourse, and also their attendance. And so we can see here, just to give you a quick idea of what we're looking at, we're on an outcome for this student, Edward, and this is actually the outcome record. So here you can see, I'll just tell you what these mean. So this first graph is the attendance graph, and what this is telling us is that of all the sessions that have this outcome associated with it in the class training plan, which I'll go over in a minute, just to give you a more holistic view of what's going on here, that 67% of the classes or sessions have been attended by this student, which equates to 24 hours, and they've been absent for 6 hours. So I know for the case of this class that the sessions are 6 hours long, which is why it says 6 hours. So they've obviously attended 4 sessions, they've missed 1, and this future timetable tells us that there is still 1 class yet to be delivered or run. And if you don't want to see that, so if you want to remove that from sort of the equation that drives the graph, you can just click on it here, and it will redraw the graph, and as though there's no, it doesn't take into account classes that have yet to be delivered. And the same thing goes with this assessments marked. So this particular outcome is associated with 3 assessment tasks in the class, and we can see here that one of these assessments has already been marked, so submitted and marked. None of them are in the submitted phase. One of them has been released, which means so you can set up release dates on assessment tasks which release those documents to students via the portal. And then one of them is, of course, still not released, so has yet to be introduced to the students at this stage. And just like the future timetable section on the attendance graph, you can remove the not released portion of the graph just by clicking on it, and that will exclude those. So if you're not worried about anything that's not technically happened yet, and you find that easy to read, then you can set it up to act like that. And I suppose just to show you where all of this comes from, here's the class that this student's enrolled in. So you can see here we have the vet section open. This class has 5 assessments attached to it, which you set up. If I go to this tab here, this is the assessment tasks window, and you create assessment tasks, assessment task records here, and then they can be attached to the class by clicking this button. And then you can see here each of these. So we have the first day quiz here, for example, which you can see here had a release date of, so it released the first day of this class, and you can also need to set a due date, and you can see they were all submitted and marked on the same date, and they've all actually been graded as well, and graded as engaged. You can set the different grading types. We'll cover that in a separate video, I think. But and you can see here, so that's the assessment. Now if we go up to the vet section, we can see the training plan. And you can actually see here, this is that quiz, first day quiz. The code was FDQ, and we can see that code right here when the chevron gets out of the way. And so obviously these are the outcomes or modules that are attached to the course when you first create the course and on course. They all display here, and this is the matrix where you set up your training plan. So obviously you can see here that this first class is dealing with the delivery of these two outcomes, and this assessment task also relates to these two outcomes. And you can see, if I come across, just go across here, we can see there's actually another assessment task here, a quiz that's also associated with this outcome. And then there's also one, I think, down here. Yep, that's also associated with it. And this all ties into outcome end dates and all that sort of fun thing, which you can see here. You can see the training plan has the start date as the 2nd of June, has the end date as the 24th of June, because that is actually when the last assessment due date relating to that outcome is due. And all of that ties in together, and all of that data is used to form these graphs, which hopefully will make it easier for you to, at a glance, see a student's progression with any particular outcome.